My name is Angela.
My name is Nicole.
And welcome to the Ominous Stitch Podcast. Hello, Stitchers!
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Ominous Stitch Podcast.
Yay!
Take a stitch.
Take a stitch. Amazing.
So today we have a little bit of a fun house going on at the farm.
At the farm line.
We're having a doggy play date.
Yay!
And Mr. Miles, who's Nicole's dog, is over here. He is like a mini version of my dog, Rosie.
They're exactly the same.
They are so similar. It's hilarious. So they're both brindle and white, but Miles is
a little more compact.
he's a little bit smaller and he's got a little bit floppier ears. And he's way more puppy-like than my dog, which is hilarious because he's just twice the age of my dog.
Yeah. It's called ADD for dogs.
So if you hear a little extra barking or a little extra tail thumping, we have another little visitor over here on the farm.
They're finally calmed down. It took us a couple hours.
Yeah, it took a few hours.
Oh
We're like, we cannot podcast yet.
Nope.
Yeah, and you also might hear some wood chipping happening, which is going to be included in my stitches. We're having some trees trimmed around the property.
Why don't you just go into that? What's your stitch, Angela?
Okay, so my stitch this week is that we are having our trees trimmed,
That's
right?
Right.
And okay, let me rewind a little bit. Okay. We got the alpaca, which I talked about on the last episode. We were getting them. They are here.
Yay.
They are beautiful and amazing. And I love my girls so much. They are so much fun.
Good.
And they're really, really funny. They're funny because they're like cats. They don't want to talk to you unless you ignore them, and then they want to come close to you. Or if you have food. If you have food around you, they're like, oh, yes, please.
Yeah,
yes,
I love
give me
you.
food. Yes, you're my best friend, and you may touch my nose. But if you just want to go in there and be like, hi, I love you, they're like, get away from me.
No, I don't want you.
No.
That's funny.
They're so cute. And the way they talk is my favorite because they're very quiet, very stoic, very peaceful animals. But when they talk to each other, they go like this. I
love it.
That's it. They just hum and it's so cute.
They don't yell at you or scream or anything like goats do.
No. They're like, nah. No. They go,
I love that.
That's it. They're so cute. And I love them so much.
Good.
So we have this wonderful, big, huge, beautiful paddock area for them in the back of our house.
Right.
And we spent, a lot of time getting it ready for them, and it's all perfect and beautiful. And then we had our tree service come. So there's a ton of trees that line the back. Oh no. I think Miss Nicole's dog just farted.
I tried to ignore it. I'm sorry.
I love it. Oh, keeping it real, Miles.
Yes,
good job,
thanks,
dog.
Miles.
Okay. So we have a bunch of the trees line the back area,
right.
the backyard.
Good shady area.
Yeah, good shady area for them. So that means we had to move them because the trees are getting cut down. So we do have another paddock area that's on a hillside. And so we had to move them from their back paddock to the hillside. And the way the alpaca work is they don't cross a line. If you just need something simple like a rope.
Yeah.
Right. So we used a rope and we created a circle around them. So it was like a movable corral.
So, question: do you have a leash? Are they leashed like that, or are they just?
They are not halter trained, so that's something that we're working on with them. Okay. It is possible to halter train alpaca, but these girls have not been halter trained. Okay. So that's something that we're trying to get.
So what do you do with the rope then?
So we create a movable corral. So it just needs 4 people to stand in a circle with a rope around the alpaca.
On the outside.
On the outside.
I was thinking like the inside. I don't know why.
Well, I was on the inside because I was holding their favorite treats to try to entice them.
Right.
But anyway, and then you just move as a group, and because they don't want to touch the rope or cross the line, they will just go wherever you want to move them.
That is so
in that
weird.
rope. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It was really cool. So the tree trimmers helped me move the alpaca to the other paddock area. And there's this one spot where we have to get them between the camper and where they were going into the gate. And they didn't really like that spot because it was a little bit tight. So it was kind of like going into a shoe, and they didn't like that. And so they started to push on the rope a little bit, and one of the guys let go of the rope. And so I got this really massive rope burn on my hand.
Ow.
So that's the only downside, is that I did get a rope burn. Other than that, it was a very smooth move. And then they're happy on the hillside, and they're doing great.
I'm sorry though.
No, it's okay. It's just, it's not
rough.
Very pretty.
It looks painful.
Yeah. It's fine. I'm farm tough. I can handle a little rope burn.
Yeah. Get it, farmer.
And I'm learning that I always need to wear my gloves when I'm moving them.
There you go.
So that
You learned a
in case
lesson.
they want to test the rope.
Yes.
Which is very unusual, but they just didn't like the area that we were trying to shuffle them
they
in.
were new to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my stitch, though. We had a successful move of the alpaca.
Good.
I know they're excited to have a new environment to be in, but I know they'll be excited to get back to their paddock when we are done with the tree trimming.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to mention tree trimming, because you might hear some saws going on.
Or dogs barking at the
or
tree
dogs
trimmers.
barking at the tree trimmers.
Although they are pretty calm now.
They are.
Yay.
They're finally napping.
Oh,
They've been playing all day, so they finally wore themselves out. Oh,
do we talk too soon?
I think we talked too soon.
That's okay. Well, but yeah, we apologize if you hear dogs barking at all. So
yeah.
It's cool. Farm life.
So what has you in stitches, Nicole?
Okay. Have you ever gone through life like being normal and like things are fine, and then something changes with your body because you get older?
Yes.
So I'm facing this weird thing now that I guess I snore.
Oh, no.
And my husband gets so mad at me because he can't sleep now. And I'm like, I don't know I'm doing it. And he's like, yeah, you're on your back and you snore. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. He's like, and then my little one comes in and still sleeps with me. Like he climbs into bed every single night, which is fine. It's cool. He'll grow out of it. I know. But when he comes in, I roll over and I stop snoring.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I'm on my
now
side.
Your husband's like trying to entice your little one to come in to keep you from snoring.
No, but it's weird. I've snored maybe when I'm sick, but now it's like I do it more often and I don't even know it.
Oh.
So I think I'm going to invest.
Do a sleep study?
I'm going to do breathe right strips, I think. I'm going to try them out, but I was just like throwing out to the community, like everybody out there who snores.
You might need a sleep study.
Yeah. Well,
what's your sleep apnea?
Yeah. Well, what's your go-to to get rid of it? So I was reading it and I was like, the first one's like, oh, if you're overweight, lose weight. I'm like, that's stupid. Like that's the worst thing ever. No. So
that's always the advice, like lose weight.
Doctor, yeah. I'm like that doesn't always solve
just lose
everything.
Weight. Sure. Yeah. If it was that easy,
then everybody
would be overweight.
Yeah, everybody would do it. Yeah, it's fine. It's stupid. No. So I'm gonna try the breathe right strips, but wish me luck. I just don't know what to do because I'm like, this is new to me.
Yeah.
So yay. Do you snore? Do you know if you snore?
I don't know if I snore. My husband does on occasion, but it's like soothing to me. Like,
that's so cute.
When I hear him sleep, I'm like, oh, okay, I can sleep now. So I was like, wait for him to fall asleep first, and then I fall asleep.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I have headphone, it's a bandana thing that it's like I listen to podcasts, like sleep podcasts.
Oh, fun.
And music, because I can't sleep without noise. It's weird. My brain just won't turn off.
Yeah. That's why we have the TV playing all night.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, our favorite sleep show is How I Met Your Mother, because we've seen it so many times.
It's like fall asleep to it.
Yeah, I fall asleep to it. I have
It's
no
funny.
need to watch it. I can kind of watch it in my brain.
You know already. Yeah. So I do that with my headphones, and that helps me just like, and I'm like telling my husband, do that instead so you don't hear me. So we're trying that out too. But like, it's so frustrating. Yeah. I just feel bad because like I've never snored before.
Oh, well, don't feel bad. You can't help it.
I know, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
Yay, body changing. So that's my
Hooray
stitches.
for getting older. Welcome to your 40s, Nicole.
40s. Everything's great.
Yeah. Pretty soon you're going to have to like walk yourself up when you're trying to get
my
out of a chair. That's fun. That's fun. You put your hands on your knees and you try to push yourself up. Oh my gosh.
Yay. Getting old is fun. So there you go. But today's story is insane. It's not about people getting old. This is about younger people doing some extreme things. But yeah, I don't want to get into it too much right now.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. I don't know anything about this story. So I'm going in completely blind, which is going to be so exciting.
I'm so excited to tell you.
You're going to get like some crazy reactions from me. I can already tell just from the look on your face. I wish you guys could see this
I was
face.
telling her, I was like, I've got so many photos because it really helps paint the picture of this event. So I'm going to show her a bunch and I will post it on social so you guys can see it too. Not the gruesome ones. There are some pretty like graphic photos. I will not post those.
Okay.
You can check it out. I'll link them if you want to, if you're that morbid. But yeah.
I've got shivers.
But so
Okay.
I told Angela, I was like, for our stitches today for crocheting,
Yeah.
you got to do like something warm. I said beanie, and she's like, oh, I got it.
Oh, I got you beanies.
She's got me.
I got you beanies.
And I can't do beanies. I haven't tried it, but I've looked at patterns, and they look hard.
No, it's not hard. So should we dive in? Should we get stitching?
Let's get stitching.
Let's get stitching. Okay, Stitchers. So when Miss Nicole said, let's do a beanie this time, I was like, oh, girl, I got you. I've even made you this beanie. I've made this beanie for so many people. It was like what I did. It's a 2-day beanie for me because the first day is making the brim and then the second day is just making the whole hat and then I'm done. It's a 2-day beanie.
That's so cool.
I've made so many of these.
And she changes the colors, and I that in itself makes me excited.
Yeah. Well, yeah, changing colors is easy. Well,
For
it's always
her.
easy on this beanie. But so the one that I'm holding right now is what I call my sunset beanie because it looks like a sunset.
It's really pretty
on the beach.
I like
See,
it.
like beach right here.
I
sunset.
get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So this beanie, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due.
Yes, do it.
This is a CC copycat beanie by Tanya Hart. And I
Thanks, Tanya.
learned this video. I learned this pattern off of I learned this pattern. I was going to say patio.
Paddock?
Let me do it again. I learned this pattern off of a video on YouTube by Stitch Upon a Star. And she
Ooh.
has special permission to do this video.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if I'll be able to do the video.
We'll check it.
But we'll check and see if we can also make a video of this. But if not, Stitch Upon a Star, CC Copycat Beanie or Bun Beanie by Tanya Hart.
Bun
And you
beanie.
can buy this pattern on Etsy, on Tanya
Oh.
Hart's Etsy store.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's a link in that on how to buy
On the
that on this
YouTube.
YouTube video
You
as
got
well. Yeah. So the only thing that I do different is I close off the top unless somebody specifically requests it to be open.
Oh, because it's a bun beanie. Because you
It's a
put your
bun
bun out.
beanie.
Duh.
Yeah, you put
That's
your bun
cool.
out.
Okay.
Put your buns out. So, or I'll close it up. And I mostly close it up. So I'll tell you how to close it up. But Nicole, you were actually the one that inspired this beanie like a year ago.
Because I sent you a link.
You didn't send me this link. You sent me like the real CC beanie, which is a knit beanie. It's not crochet. And you're like, I
interesting.
want to do this, but it's a knit beanie. How do we do it? So I started looking up copycats. That's why
Okay.
it's a copycat.
Got it.
Because it's a crochet beanie. And so they use a special technique to get this knit look with the V's going sideways. Do you
Very
see that? So
cool.
we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that
Okay.
mostly when we're doing this pattern. So
Okay.
we'll talk a little bit about the pattern. So what you're going to do, you're going to start with the brim. And the brim is going to be, I believe it's 16 stitches wide. So you're going to chain 17 plus 1 is it's 15 stitches wide, 16. So you chain 16 and that includes your turning chain. Then you're going to slip stitch your way back.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. Then you're going to, this is how I learned to do the ribbing. I think I talked about this in last week's episode,
you
the
did.
ribbing.
Yeah.
So you slip stitch your way back and then you half double crochet into the back of the slip
That's
stitch,
right.
right? Just the back loop only of the slip stitch. Okay. Then you chain 1 to turn and you slip stitch your way back in the back loops only. So you're always working in the back loops when you're slip stitching, or if you are half double crocheting, you're always working in the back loops.
Got it.
And it makes this really nice V in the ribbing.
That
and
is
you
so
have this big
cool.
space.
I
It's
love
really
it.
pretty.
I like it a
And
lot.
so you're going to do that until you get, I think, however long you need the brim to be. So I think it's like 76 rows you're going to make of that. Before you fold it in half, you stitch it together so that it's a circle. Then you fold it in half. And once you fold it in half,
lays flat.
so it lays flat. Then when
Yeah.
you fold it in half, you're going to single crochet your way around to close it.
Got
Does
it.
that make sense?
Yeah.
And there'll be 76 single crochets around to close it.
Nice.
Okay?
And 76 fits like my head.
Yeah, 76. It's
have a small That's pretty
it's
big.
a
though.
it's a large. It stretches.
Yeah.
So it's like the average size for
A large beanie or regular
yeah,
beanie.
for a regular beanie.
Got it.
You know, you can measure your own head size. I think it's like a 19-inch
Okay.
head size. So you can measure your own head size and see what you need.
Got it.
So 76. So after you do the 76 single crochets to close up those two ends, then you're going to do a round of half double crochets. So the cool thing about the half double crochet, and this is where you get this really cool effect where you have this horizontal V that's going around. So when you're doing the half double crochets, there are actually 3 loops that you can enter. You can enter the top V, or there's another loop behind that top V.
You'll see it?
Yes, you'll see it. So when you go into, so you're going to go past the front loop and the back loop, and then there's a 3rd loop behind that one.
Okay.
Then you're going to just pick up the 3rd loop and half double crochet your way all the way around. That way that top V lays down in the front.
Oh,
do you see
it.
that? So this horizontal V that's going around is actually that top V, because you're crocheting into that 3rd loop behind that in the half double crochet. So you're going to do 3 rows of that, and then you're going to do a row of single crochets into that 3rd V, that 3rd loop again. Of that last row of half double crochets. And then after you single crochet, you're going to do a row of double crochet, and then you're back doing the half double crochets, and you're going to do 3 rows of that half double crochet going into that back loop.
Now I see
then
the
you do a single crochet, a half or a double crochet, and then you're back doing your half double crochets into that back loop.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's it.
But then
and so we did 1, 2, 3 times of that kind of a pattern. And then you start you're going to do, let's see, I think that's a single crochet that goes around after you finish your last half double. And then you're going to do a row of double crochet. And then you're going to start your decrease. So you're going to start with, I think it's 4 single crochets and then a decrease, 4 single crochets and a decrease, 4 single crochets and a decrease, all the way around. And then it's 3 single crochets and a decrease, all the way around, 2 single crochets and a decrease. Then it's 1 single crochet decrease, and you alternate between all of those. And by the time you get to that, I think you have about 25 stitches left.
Nice.
And then when you have 25 or 26 or however many stitches you have left after you've done the decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, then if you want to put in a ponytail holder to have that bun beanie, to have it open on top, then you single crochet that ponytail holder into the top.
Oh, that's smart.
Right? So that's what gives you that nice elastic
that makes
open
sense.
top.
That's cool.
If you want to close it, you take a long tail and you weave it in between, and then you cinch it closed.
Easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the bun. I mean,
that's pretty easy.
The CC, what is it called? The CC Copycat Bun Beanie by Tanya Hart.
I love it.
It's a really easy hat to make.
Yeah.
We will link
but it looks complicated. That's
it
what
looks
I like about
complicated, and I can't tell you how many requests I get to make this hat. I make it all the time. Yeah, I made you one.
I love it.
It's super
My kids
warm.
loved it. It's funny.
Yeah.
They wore it more than I did.
Yeah.
Like, where's that beanie?
I made one for each of my kids because they did ice skating, and so they needed warm hats. And then all of the skate coaches were requesting them.
That's
So I made
right.
them for all of the skate
You're
coaches.
so nice.
And and then they also did rock climbing. The rock climbing coach requested one, so I made one for him. So I'm telling you, this is a beanie everyone loves and requests.
I gotta try it.
And it looks good in if you want to do multiple colors like this one, and we'll post a picture of this one. Or if you want to do single colors, it looks great either way because it's got a great kind of texture effect
it does.
to it.
That's why I'm saying it looks so complicated because it's just different rows. And I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And
so
it's
wait,
fun.
real
It goes
quick
fast.
question. So
Yes.
when you're joining,
Yes.
do you join it with a slip stitch, or do you actually go in like a round, like the what's it called, like a magic circle?
Oh, that's right. So when you do the rows, because you are stitching in the round. Thank you for that question. 'Cause I didn't cover that. Yeah.
Okay.
So you do slip stitch to join each round and chain one before you go into the next round.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Slip stitch to join,
And
chain
then
one.
Okay.
Yes. And then you start the next round. And you
Okay.
can see my seam right here.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, didn't even notice it until I was like looking for it.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yay!
I
mean,
love
it does leave a seam. There probably is a way to do it seamless, but if you want your rows to be straight, you gotta slip stitch to join like that. Yeah.
That's fine. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna post a picture because Angela was demonstrating and I took a picture.
Yay!
So, but yeah, it's a really cool beanie. You guys got to check this out. We'll link the YouTube video for it.
Yes. And if we can make a video, we will.
Yeah,
because it's a fun beanie to make.
Okay.
People love this beanie.
I
so
love
make
it too.
Yeah.
I love
More
it.
fun.
Good job.
Okay, so that's it for Stitches.
So we did the beanie because
Because
the story time takes place in cold. So it's story time.
It's story time.
All right. So as you saw on our episode, obviously, I'm covering the Dyatlov Pass. It is crazy. And disclaimer, the scientists say they've solved it this year. Back in March. I don't think they did.
Ooh.
No.
When did it take place?
1959.
So in 59 this happened, and just this past March they think they solved it, but you don't believe them.
I don't.
Oh.
I believe them to a certain extent, but it's doesn't to me explain every single thing that happened.
Oh,
it's pretty
interesting.
Creepy. So,
okay, I'm ready. Let's
and
find
then
out.
Disclaimer also, I don't have Russian in me. I've never spoken Russian.
Duh.
So I'm very, very, very sorry if I butcher these names. I didn't get a chance to like go through Google and try to do it. And so, yeah, if I butcher them,
That's okay. They
I'm
just
sorry.
sat through a podcast of me butchering all of the names in Bigfoot lore. So when I was editing that, I was just laughing so hard at myself. I'm like, why can't I learn how to say names? Like I sing in other languages all the time, but I can't pronounce things. It's so funny.
We're very English. We're very sorry.
Yes.
Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to explain the situation and everything that happened. And then I'm going to go into like the million theories at the end. Okay.
Okay. I'm
And
ready.
you'll tell me what you think. Okay, so like I said, this is going to take us to Sverdlovsk in Sverdlovsk Oblast, Russia. And again, the year is 1959. And we come across students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, which is now known as the Ural State Technical Institute. These students are all highly experienced hikers with ski tour experience.
Okay, so they know what they're doing out
They know
there.
what they're doing, and I'm
Okay.
going to like reiterate that a lot. Igor Dyatlov is among these students, okay?
Okay.
And he's the 23-year-old radio engineering student, and he is chosen to lead this group of students and some graduates on a skiing expedition across the northern Urals and reach mountain that's called Otorten. This would be done in order to commemorate the 21st Congress of the Party of the Soviet Union. And this is pointed out because it was very common practice to dedicate trips in honor of the Communist Party. My note says community party. That's really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Communist Party. Because most of the climbing gear that was provided by the university is from them. And so they get to, say, hey, oh, yeah, it's Communist Party.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But just know that none of the members of the group were communist.
Okay.
So there you go. And the journey was to last 2 weeks, so 14 days. Now, as mentioned, the group there's 10 students, okay, they agreed to make this difficult trek. Again, experienced mountaineers. So they were grade 2 hikers. And at the time, at 1959, grade 3 was the highest certification. So if they did this trek, they would come back and be certified for grade 3, the highest level and the hardest. And then I even made a note. So grade 3 is the highest and required candidates to span 300 kilometers or 190 miles of travel. So there you go.
Okay.
The end destination for Dyatlov and his group was to reach the far northern regions of the Sverdlovsk Oblast, like I said, and the upper streams of the Lazva River. And the destination was Otorten. The Sverdlovsk City Route Commissioner approved their trip on January 8th, 1959, and the trek was to take place in late January, early February, and this supposedly was the most difficult time to traverse the mountain. Okay. So, Angela, like I said, I'm showing pictures.
Yeah.
This is the group. You can't really see them. I'll show you more.
No,
but
yeah,
there's
I
a
see
group
them.
of 10. Okay. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about these people. But the quick myth to debunk that is spread on lots of websites. There is a native tribe of people called the Mansi that live on and near the Urals. And Russian journalists claim that the name Otorten can be translated to "don't go there."
Oh, no.
But Otorten is a Mansi word that translates to Goose Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The legend is that after a massive flood, only one goose survived at the top of the mountain.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
so that's why they called it Otorten.
Torton.
Also, or Torten and Kholat Syakhl, the mountainous region in the Urals, they weren't religious places. So this was a big thing that everyone kept saying. The Mansi called these forbidden mountains because they were dangerous to the people, not sacred. So they avoided them at all costs.
Oh.
Not sacred.
So, okay. If people are avoiding a particular region,
yes,
there's a reason for
There's
that.
a reason.
Yeah.
It's pretty treacherous.
Yeah. If nobody goes there, then you probably should
shouldn't.
not
Exactly.
go there as well.
You shouldn't.
Yes. Don't boldly go where no man has gone before.
But they did. They wanted to, they were thrill seekers, mountaineers, right? They
Like,
wanted to
we
do it.
can do it. We're young.
Yeah, no one else has done it. We can do it. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So there were 8 men and 2 women, and they were all in their 20s except for Semyon, a.k.a. Alexander, who was 38 years old. He was a graduate.
Oh, old man.
Yes. And I'm going to give names eventually, but again, check the socials for the pictures because there's so many names. It's hard. Okay. January 23rd, 1959, the Dyatlov group was given their route book and they left Sverdlovsk City that same day. They arrived at Ivdel, I don't know, Ivdel, maybe, central town of Sverdlovsk Oblast. Oh, I can't, this is going to be fun, guys. Early on January 25th. Then they traveled by truck to Vizhai, the last inhabited settlement to the north. So if you're on a map, they left here, they went here, and then the mountains are to the north. So this city right here is the last known civilization before they get into the mountains.
Okay.
That's where they are now. Okay. So January 27th, they started their hike toward Otorten. But alas, the next day, one of their party, Yuri Yudin, came down with a bad sickness and something was acting up with his knee. So he had to cancel the trip and return home. That's actually good for him.
Yes. Good job.
So there were now
he
only,
lived then.
Yes. There were only 9 now. So a total of 9 in their party. All information past Yuri's return is based on recovered cameras and diaries of the Dyatlov group.
Oh.
That's ominous, isn't it?
Yes.
All right.
Ooh, look at that picture. Okay.
Yes. So the group faced extremely hostile weather conditions as they made their way to the Otorten mountain. On January 29th, they were able to ski their way to the Auspia River and over the next couple of days make their way along the river. So they were able to kind of still traverse that way. Before they made their climb, they left all their provisions on a raised platform by the bank of the river in order to lighten their backpacks. So they knew this is where we're going to set up. This is all our provisions. We'll come back as soon as we can. And that's, we'll have everything ready to go when we're back.
Okay.
February 1st.
So I'm looking at the picture. It looks like they're cross country skiing.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. Have you ever seen cross country skiers at the end of a race?
Ski, yeah.
I've never skied, but
it's hard.
You guys Google cross country skiers when they're finishing a biathlon or a race or something.
Exhausted?
They are on the ground puking their guts out because they are so exhausted because it is a workout.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It is a workout.
I can't even run. Imagine me on skis. Oh my gosh.
I've never been on
backpacks.
skis, so I would not be good on this pass. I would
I'm
be the first
terrible.
one to die. But I'm looking at the picture. They are cross country skiing into a whiteout.
Yeah, it's hard to see at all.
It's a whiteout. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And so leaving their provisions in the middle of a whiteout, they're never going to find them
They
again.
have provisions on them. They just don't have all of them.
Okay.
So they're just leaving. They're just trying to lighten their load.
Right.
They have enough, they think, because they're experienced. So they're taking what they think they need.
Oh, okay.
Well, it won't matter. Okay. February 1st. Ready? The group left a little later in the day. They kind of left later than they should have. And then as they made their way up, the group detoured 500 meters off their planned route due to the terrible weather conditions and limited vision. They had only traveled 2.5 miles and decided to camp where they ended up after that 2.5 miles. They ended up pitching their tent on the north slope of Kholat Syakhl, which translates to Dead Mountain.
Oh, no.
By the Mansi.
No.
Yeah. And the area they stopped in was only 10 miles from Mount Otorten. So they were actually really close, but they just couldn't see anymore. And it was just
well,
gruesome.
you got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
February 2nd, all members of the Dyatlov group perish in what is now called the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Oh, no.
Now, how?
How?
Let's go into everything.
Okay.
So the Dyatlov group was expected to return February 12th, and Dyatlov promised his sports club that they would send a telegram as soon as they returned, but that never happened. But it was common in those days when you're hiking these big long treks, it was common to have a few day delay.
Right. Yeah.
So they didn't, pay it to mind. But until February 20th, when like some of the party members' families started worrying.
Yeah. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
This is more than a couple of days.
Yeah.
We're like a week later.
Yeah. Search party was then finally formed to look for the missing group. And this first group was only consisted of students and teachers. So they were the same kind of like the same kind of hikers. So they were experienced.
Right.
So they came out. When they didn't find any of the missing party, Army and police joined the search along with planes and helicopters.
Okay.
February 26th, the search party finally found the abandoned and damaged tent on Kholat Syakhl. From the Dyatlovpass.com site, Mihail Sherevin, the student who found the tent, said the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind.
Oh.
After piecing things together, they concluded the tent was cut open from the inside and the entire group fled in socks or bare feet.
Why? Put your hiking shoes on, people.
They left behind shoes, warm clothing, food, basically everything in the tent. They could visibly make out a chain of 8 or 9 sets of footprints that led down towards the edge of the nearby woods, but disappeared under snow after 500 meters. And in these prints, you could see bare footprints, sock sets, or possibly a single shoe. So obviously something happened.
If the bear
scared them.
Yeah.
When they followed the tracks, they came to a large cedar tree where there were remains of a small fire and the first 2 bodies. Yeah. Yuri, Krovonishenko. He was 23 years old. Okay. And Yuri, they're both Yuris, Doroshenko, 21.
Oh, their names are so similar.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a K and a D. There you go.
Okay.
The night they all died, the temperatures were between -13 to -22 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy balls.
Yes. My thoughts
Those are
exactly.
frozen off.
Yep. But despite this, both men's bodies were found shoeless and dressed only in their underwear.
Oh, man. Something chased them out of their tent so fast. Or they had hypothermia going on.
You're already
just like,
yeah.
I'm diving into the theories,
You're already
right?
going.
Oh.
That's cool. Yeah, keep your theories, though. It's
Okay.
fun. The searchers noted that the branches on the tree, the big cedar tree that they were under, were broken up to 5 meters high, which is 16 feet.
Holy bajolies.
When the medical examiner took a look at Krivonishenko, they found livor mortis on his back, yet he was found facing up, which means someone had moved them after they had died. So, photo.
What?
So they recovered. They had a cape on them, kind of. So there you go. So that's where they found the 2 bodies.
Oh, wow. And so wait, okay.
Just 2 bodies.
So he had rigor mortis on his back,
Yes.
but then he was found face up.
Yes.
Am I remembering that right? Read that
on his
again.
back. Yeah, he was found facing up, which means someone moved him. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is okay.
Ooh.
February 27th. Investigators returned because remember they were found on the 26th.
Right.
The
Next day.
27th. Yeah, they returned to look for more of the Dyatlov group. Lo and behold, as the searchers looked between the tent and the large cedar, they found Igor Dyatlov roughly 300 meters from the large cedar tree and Zenaida Kolmogorova 630 meters from the tree.
Oh, wow. She's far.
They were both, and I looked at more pictures later, they were really covered in snow. So they kind of finally found them. That's why it took them so long to find them. And then 6 days later, they recovered Rustem Slobodem's body that was 480 meters away from the tree. So they were all kind of in the vicinity of the tent and the tree.
Right.
They just couldn't see them. So
because they were covered in snow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
they found 7 of the 9 so far?
5 of the 9.
5 of the 9. Okay.
So there's Dyatlov.
Math.
Right? Yeah, math.
Okay. Yes.
Dyatlov, Zenaida,
Uh-huh.
and Rustem is right there. So they're those 3 bodies. Okay. Now, all 3 of these bodies died in poses that were assumed they were trying to return to the tent. When a proper examination was done on all 5 of those bodies, they found no injuries that may have led to their deaths. So the conclusion was that the 3 had died of hypothermia. However, there were strange symptoms that the examiners couldn't explain.
Oh.
However, for instance, they found a small crack in Slobodin's skull. Not enough to be a fatal wound, but it looked like he had hit his head over and over again.
Oh.
Kolmogorova had a baton-shaped bruise on her side. And Doroshenko was brown-purple in complexion and also had gray foam coming from his right cheek, and gray liquid was leaking from his mouth.
What? How? What?
Also, the hands of the two hikers under the cedar tree were scraped away. And remember that the branches on the cedar tree were gone.
Yes.
So it looked as if the two men maybe have tried desperately to seek shelter from something or someone in the tree.
Ooh.
They noticed blood and tissue on some of the branches. So, I mean, these are all speculations, obviously, but they could have been either trying to grab the trees to make the fire or to make a, and I'll go into more theory about
to climb
this.
up and get away from something. Yeah.
And besides the first two under the cedar that had been found in their underwear, the other three were also very underdressed. So again, indicating they all fled their tent without proper preparation, despite being experienced hikers. The remaining 4 hikers' bodies took over 2 months to find.
Oh my God.
And this just made the whole scene even more mysterious.
Okay.
May 5th.
May 5th.
The other 4 hikers were discovered 50 meters farther into the woods from the cedar tree under 4 meters of snow in a ravine.
Ooh.
These last 4 hikers were dressed way better than the others, which means the others that had passed may have relinquished their clothes to the others. So they were all warmly dressed.
Okay.
Okay. According to Dyatlov Pass.com, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Thibaut Brignole was wearing Dubinina's fur coat and hat. So this is one of them. Dubinina's in there. She was wearing a brown sweater that tested radioactive. And was probably most probably Krivonishenko's, the one that was found under the cedar tree.
Cedar tree, yeah. Okay.
Zolotaryov had Doroshenko's hat, and Kolevatov was wearing Doroshenko's overalls. The waistband of his sweater and lower part of his ski trousers also tested radioactive.
Wow, why?
And after examining their bodies, 3 of the 4 had fatal injuries, which changed the course of the whole investigation. Yeah.
Oh.
So Thibaut Brignole had major skull damage. And both Dubinina and Zolotaryov had major chest fractures.
Ooh.
The medical examiner, I'm not going to say his name, but the medical examiner had said the force required to cause such damage, the force that had to cause so much damage would have been extremely high and compared it to a force of a car crash.
Oh my gosh. So, whoa.
So 3 of the 4 had internal damage.
Right.
That was like
that
a
was
car
the force
crash.
of a car crash.
Yes. And even stranger yet, some of the bodies had no external wounds, as if they were crippled by a high level of pressure. So like it wasn't something like crushing them or pushing them, like or beating them.
Right. It was from the inside. They were crushed from the inside.
Yeah, pressure. So like a car crash.
Yeah, like a car crash. What? But how? What? Okay. So many questions.
Right?
Were there how?
Okay.
Were there any large stones or anything around that
I'm
could
going
have
to keep
crushed
going.
it? Okay.
No,
I'm listening. This is crazy.
It's crazy. Yet strangely, Zolotarev was missing his eyeballs.
What?
And Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, part of her lips, as well as facial tissue and a fragment of her skull bone. So Dubinina, she's the one of the 2 girls. She had the most damage to her face. They said and it keeps going back and forth. The tongue was either ripped out, but it was gone.
Yeah.
Like I said, both eyes were gone. Yeah. So Dubinina had some serious stuff going on. Kolevatov's body did not sustain any severe trauma like the other 3. So he's the only one. What's crazy is they made a makeshift den in the ravine, later dubbed the Dyatlov Pass Den. It was a small enclosure that was covered with branches to keep themselves warm. So they were there. They were saying they were trying to make
They were there for a while. So how? I don't get it.
Yet despite the makeshift den, all the bodies were found a few feet from the shelter in the deep part of the ravine. Some of the clothes that they took from the other hikers were placed on the cedar branches and they weren't even used.
Oh,
so what happened?
I'm like I can't
I know. So this is Dubinina. This is how they found her. So there's a rushing water right here. She's kind of laying against it. Okay?
Right.
Obviously, upon finding the second group of hikers, they have had to have died at very different times than the other 5 hikers since they were using the clothing of the fallen.
Right.
There's another one.
Yeah.
This is another one.
My head is spinning, Nicole. I don't understand how.
That's a gruesome one.
Oh yeah, no eyeballs.
No eyeballs.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
This is why it's insane. Now, after finding all the missing hikers and after autopsies were performed, the Soviet government ended up closing the case pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, because they were like, oh well, we're gonna cover this up. We don't want to go. We don't nobody's going to find out what happens. However, I'm sure the government knows, but they're going to let people know.
Well, yeah. So they closed
Conspiracy theory.
They closed off the area to the other hikers for 3 years, and supposedly
3 years?
It was still a classified case.
Oh my gosh.
But the cause of death for all the hikers were very vague. And the verdict? Natural disaster and the hikers' incompetence to handle the harsh conditions. They named that section of Kolatsiakal the Dyatlov Pass, obviously, and a memorial was erected in the Mihailovsko Cemetery in Sverdlovsk in 1962.
Okay.
Now, I'll try to include this map in socials, but they marked where they found the bodies and tried to make an accurate picture of the campsite. And I wanted to show this.
Oh, yeah. I see it. Yeah.
So here's the tent. They ripped it out. And then this is the cedar tree.
Right.
And there's the river and the ravine. So there's where all the bodies were found.
They're kind of like in a line.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay.
And I'm going to show you another
That's
map.
interesting because I thought they would be like one's over here, but nope. Kind of in that area.
Kind of, yeah, they were smart. They knew where they were. This was crazy because I'm going to show you another map, but this was really creepy. So
there's no way this is a natural disaster. Like some stuff went down.
This is why it's so famous.
Something went down.
No one knows except they think, but I don't think so. Okay.
I'm sure somebody knows what happened and they're just not wanting to let anybody know.
Right. Okay, so
crazy
theories.
So many theories. I'm reading her notes.
That's what it
says.
So
many
there
theories.
There really are.
And she even has like periods between each one. So it is read exactly like that.
So many.
Okay.
1. At first, Soviets initially thought the Mansi tribesmen may have ambushed the group. So the Mansi tribesmen lived in the Urals, right? And then this may account for the hurriedness of them rushing out of their tent, no clothes, and some were pretty crazy physical trauma. But the Mansi are known to be very peaceful. They're a very peaceful tribe. And there were no other footprints and trails besides the group of hikers.
Okay, so rule them out.
Also, the physical damage on the few bodies were car impact trauma, not human trauma. There was no blood or physical evidence of any type of fight or murder.
Right. That's what the people in the ravine are the ones that freak me out the worst.
That's what changed everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So no Mansis. They were great. 2, avalanche. Okay. Now this is the biggest one that they think they've solved.
Okay. This is what they think
happened.
Okay.
Earlier this year, this was in March, scientists believe they solved what actually happened, a slab avalanche. Okay. The reason why they were so skeptical at first, I'll probably put this in my notes, but there's no evidence of an avalanche when they came.
Right.
There's no snow on anything. There was it wasn't covered, right? They were able to find the campsite fine.
Right.
But a slab avalanche is different. Okay. And oh yeah, their tent was set up. They're smart. So they were like, they wouldn't have put it on a slope where there was an avalanche. And it was like a 30-degree slope. So
yeah.
But a slab avalanche is a deadly snowslide that can strike on low-angled slopes, and the new research shows that slab avalanches occur in the same region and under similar weather conditions that the Dyatlov group experienced. According to Vice.com, slab avalanches happen when a slab-like layer of snow is positioned on top of a weaker layer, creating dangerously pent-up pressure that can be released by a relatively small trigger. The researchers suggested that the pitching of the tent might have set off a fatal chain of events that eventually led to a slab falling on the sleeping hikers, causing severe trauma in some of them and prompting the rest to run into the night without proper gear, where they ultimately succumbed to the cold.
No.
The investigators did not find any evidence of the avalanche because the wind and elements take the snow away very quickly in a matter of a few hours, which scientists Gama and Puzrin have photo and video evidence of.
Okay, good. I'm glad that those kinds of things happened. I call BS on this.
I do too.
I don't think that that's what happened.
Well, because again, so the fatal injuries of the ones that incurred the fatal injuries were way farther and they lasted longer. So if that slab avalanche happened and hurt them right away, they wouldn't have been able to get out, and they would have been the ones that died faster. Like right. So
yes,
doesn't make any sense.
I agree. Like how did they wind up the furthest away and in a ravine and wearing clothes?
Yes,
while the other ones who are not injured,
died
that badly. Yeah, died with no clothes on.
No clothes on.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
I mean, I could see that happening at first, like maybe that like something like a slab avalanche was about to like their tent got knocked and they were scared.
And that's why they ran out without clothes on?
Yeah. But
that's not how they died.
Not how they died. But yeah, the tracks leading away from the tent shows a very controlled and organized manner of evacuation. So with all the evidence at the site, there's an ambiguous conclusion. During the evacuation of the tent, even if it was due to a collapse or slow avalanche, none of the hikers received fatal or serious injuries right there.
Right.
Okay. And those that side with this theory think the eyes and the tongue that were missing from the couple hikers were removed by scavengers and ordinary predation. I can kind of see that, but again, they experienced so much trauma. So like, where did that? I don't think they were able to make it that far. And still live. Like
if they were crushed internally, I don't see how they would be moving the farthest.
Yes, and still live
longer than those that weren't injured.
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
So this is a picture of the slab avalanche and how it works. And I just do that.
Okay.
3, UFOs.
See, okay, now we're hitting to more likely scenarios to me.
Okay, so this is cool. I'm going to tell you something that happened. The Mansi tribe claimed to have seen strange fireballs over the area where the Dyatlov group died. When interviewed, they described it in great detail what they saw and even drew them. Unfortunately, these drawings disappeared.
Of course they did.
Or possibly still classified, even though Russia did release all the research information gathered. However, the search parties lasted for over 3 months. They even saw these fireballs, as well as other residents of the Northern Urals. And according to the website Potorylov, all members of the search group who were in the camp in the Lavzva Valley witnessed a UFO on March 31st.
Oh my gosh.
Valentin Yakimenko, a participant in these events, in his memoirs very succinctly described what happened. It was still dark early in the morning. The orderly Victor, Mesherkyakov, there you go, left the tent and saw a luminous ball moving across the sky. Woke everyone up. For 20 minutes, we watched the movement of the ball or disc until it disappeared behind the mountainside. We saw him in the southeast of the tent. He moved in a northerly direction. This phenomenon shocked everyone. We were sure that the death of the Dyatlovites had something to do with him.
See? Okay. This makes the most sense to me out of all of the scenarios. And that's why I'm laughing.
Right.
Because so the tent was split or slashed open.
They cut it from the inside. So they knew
cut it from the inside.
Yeah. They finally pieced it together that the tent was cut, but it was from the inside because they were able to, I think someone from like laundry services was able to piece that together. Yeah. Like they saw the slashes. There were some other slashes in there.
Okay. But it was cut from the inside.
Yes.
Interesting. So why did they need to cut the tent open?
They were panicked, I think. Something happened.
And they couldn't go out the front of the tent?
That's what's confusing to me. I have no idea.
Yeah. So why would they need other exits when a tent is a tent and it's pretty easy to go out the flap?
Right. And it's a big enough tent to hold 9 people too.
Yeah.
So that tent flap should be pretty big, right?
Right. And then, okay.
But that's why the slab avalanche, that's why they think they had to cut themselves out.
Oh,
see,
they couldn't go out. Okay,
because they couldn't go through their flap probably.
Okay, so maybe the UFO coming caused a slab avalanche. That's
what I think.
What you're thinking?
Yeah, because that makes more sense. If something came, like if an avalanche came, like it knocked their tent and they freaked out and they couldn't get out, they probably cut their tent open. They all because it wasn't evacuated so quickly, right? The line of the footpath is very obviously calm and collected there, even though they're not wearing clothes. But they knew they all had to get out.
But what are the bear tracks? And I don't think they're bear.
No, There's no track. Oh, barefoot tracks.
Barefoot tracks.
Not
bear, not
BARE.
bear. Oh my gosh.
no
like
animal
it's a
tracks.
Yeti.
That's another one that we get to. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
But it's
okay. So it's human feet that
human
are
feet.
naked.
They were
human
all
feet.
yes, exactly. Not
Naked
not,
human
not
feet.
rar bear. That's funny. I'm sorry. I didn't really clarify that. Okay. Okay. So let me get back to this. What they saw was reported to the headquarters of the search operation located in Ivdel. And the appearance of a UFO in the case gave the investigation an unexpected direction. Someone remembered that fireballs were observed approximately in the same area on February 17th. Thank you, Rosie. 1959, which was even published in the newspaper, the Tagil Worker.
Okay. See? Okay.
So, and some of the group brought journals as well as cameras in the Dyatlov group. Okay. And in one of the last photos on a camera, there is speculation. I mean, this could be just a bad... when they found the camera, they were trying to maybe got exposed. But there's speculation one of the hikers tried to take a photo of something that was either after them or what caused their untimely deaths.
Whoa, that's cool. It's very ominous, guys. Whoa.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. So it does look like there's like a fireball, but there's an additional light, which could have just been overexposure because I get those little lights all the time. But there's a definite like fireball looking thing.
Now, this is the next photo.
Okay. All right.
Okay, the next photo, some believe they were trying to capture a fireball or some sort of object in the sky. The dark circular objects on the bottom are the tops of heads.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so they brought cameras and they brought journals. And I'm going to talk about that later because Dubinina's journal entries before like seemed like she was premonitioning
picking up on something,
her own death. Like it was like evil mood and like, but it could be taken with a grain of salt. Anyway, okay.
Okay. I mean, she is Russian. Maybe everything is like always dark and dim.
That's true. 4.
Okay.
Theory 4.
Like kicking my microphone.
Oh, wait. Theory 3. So UFOs. So any more thoughts on that before we move on?
Well, I think it's hilarious that I feel like this is the most plausible thing so far because just the circumstances of the deaths does not make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand them. The slope avalanche makes sense for them having to get out of the tent, but where they died, how they died, and how they found them makes no sense to that theory. There's got to be something else that did that to them. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, my dog, when she has a stuffed animal and you can see all of her toys, she always takes the eyeballs out first.
Right.
And then I'm sure if there was a tongue, she would go for that as well. So, I mean, it could be some kind of like an animal thing that was ripping out the eyeballs and the tongues.
Afterwards, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. After the death, because that's like,
predatory.
I
kind of see
fresh,
that too.
Easy meat to go after.
And birds could do that too.
Yeah. Go after the eyeballs because it's not frozen.
But why wouldn't you? Yeah. I was going to say, why wouldn't you go after all of their eyeballs then?
Yeah.
Why isn't only 2 of them?
I don't know.
That's the weird part.
I don't know.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were. No. 1959.
But yeah, but the thing that gets me most and why I think the aliens is a very plausible thing is that they were crushed on the inside.
Right, with no external injury.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me because like if it was a physical blow, like
you'd have bruising.
Yeah, and they had no bruising. It was just their insides were crushed.
Yes.
How did that happen?
We don't know.
So I feel like there had to have been some kind of big shock wave because then their bodies would have been bruised.
Externally.
I don't. That
if they fell off a cliff, same thing. I think.
Yeah, their bodies would be bruised.
You'd
something
see
would
like
be broken.
Cuts and things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't get that.
Right.
That is weirding me out so much.
This is why it's such a mystery.
Okay.
So think about that. We'll
right.
go. At the end, we'll go. What do you think?
Okay.
4, heated romantic encounter. This was actually considered. Investigators thought there were some heated arguments between the group regarding some sort of romantic encounter, as there was a history of dating between several of the members, and maybe that's why there was a lack of clothing, like someone might have.
Lame.
But, this is the weakest explanation. I wrote that.
Yeah.
Everyone who knew the group said they were very harmonious and all got along just fine. And again, like the Mansi theory, the internal damage a few of them suffered couldn't have been man-made.
Yeah.
So no.
And that's a lame, weak
Very
ass theory.
lame. Yeah.
I don't like that one at all.
5.
Okay.
Yeti.
Yeti.
Some claim that they were attacked by a Yeti, and some even include the Discovery Channel.
Nice.
Obviously.
I love it. I love it.
There's a whole thing about it, but and that's why the injuries to some are so devastating. But there are no indications of an attack, right? Like I said, again, the group seemed to be of sane mind and calm. They built a fire, they built the den. Like they weren't out in the public, like they weren't hiding from something. Obviously, they were.
Right.
So this is I highly doubt that theory.
Yeah.
And there's no footprints.
There's no footprints. There's no
Again,
Yeti
no
evidence.
attack.
Yeah. And the cracked skulls that goes along with Yeti, the branches broken at a certain, that kind of fits in with that whole Bigfoot Yeti lore kind of a thing.
That's true.
But no.
They all would have been like brutally hurt, I think. And it would have looked way more chaotic.
Yeah. More bruising, more. Yeah.
No.
They wouldn't have exactly.
Right? I don't think so. 6, KGB.
Oh.
Theory is there is a cover-up of KGB where the hikers either stumbled upon testing by the KGB, thus the radioactive clothing, or...
Yes, the radioactive stuff. I forgot about that. Okay.
That some of the group were actually secret KGB officers. But the KGB supposedly made all the group undress in the cold, leave the tent, so that the deaths could be natural. However, again, there is no indication of other people nearby apart from the Dyatlov group.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's hard because there was a baton-shaped bruise.
A baton-shaped bruise, cracked skull.
The testing of a weapon could be the crushing of the internal, but...
Yeah, and then also the fireballs. That could be, some
KGB.
kind of government testing, like missiles or whatever.
Right.
That happens where we live a lot because there's rocket testing happening in our neck of the woods.
Right.
And so that happens. Like I'll see weird fireballs in the sky all the time. And I'm like, well, I know that it's
a testing.
It's a testing.
Right.
Yeah.
So this kind of, if they're like ninja KGB and they're able to cover everything up.
Yeah. But there's no extra footprints and there's no.
That's what I'm saying. They would have had to cover up a lot.
And I feel like they wouldn't have been sloppy and left so many odd things unanswered.
Well,
like it would have looked more clean. It would have looked more like they died of natural causes. I feel like it would have been left more clean. The reason why I think the KGB thing might be plausible is that the government quickly shut it down.
Right.
So I feel like the government knows a lot more than what they let everybody else know. Maybe because they shut it down so fast.
Right.
But it may not have anything to do with, I don't know. Well, I don't know.
No one knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But I forgot about the radioactive stuff.
But it's only one person's clothing.
One person's clothing, but it was found on two different people, but it was the same person's clothing.
Same person's clothing, but there's no radioactive traces on the bodies.
On that person.
Yeah.
Oh, on the,
anybody's.
Just on the clothing.
Just on the clothing. One person's clothing that they took off of that body, remember?
Yeah. Oh, what?
Right? 7. Theory 7, catabolic wind.
Catabolic wind.
Yes.
Okay.
In 2019, a Swedish-Russian expedition was made to the site, and after investigations, they proposed a violent catabolic wind came through. Now, these are apparently violent winds that carry high-density air from a higher elevation down a slope under the force of gravity. They can reach hurricane speeds. There is a terrible example of this in 1978 when 8 hikers were killed and 1 injured in the Anaris Mountains, Mountains in Sweden from a catabolic wind. If this forced the hikers out of the tent, why would they cut their way out?
Yeah, I feel like the tent would have blown over.
Yes. Right?
I feel like their stuff would have been scattered and not like neatly still in the tent.
They would have just run out of the flap, right? Like,
yeah,
if something's blowing on them, they would have just run out.
Yeah.
Why would they cut themselves out? Again, it didn't look like they were trying to flee the tent in that crazy of a rush to get away from something that was going to kill them, like a wind. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's theory 7.
Yeah. None of these theories, like I'm sticking with the UFO or the KGB.
I love it.
My conspiracy theory, like it's going crazy because like
crazy. There's so many weird mysteries of this, right?
Yeah. This is such a good one, Nicole. Yeah. I don't get it.
I don't. 8, infrasound, hypothesized by Donnie Eicher in his 2013 book, Dead Mountain. He thinks the wind going around the mountain created a Kármán vortex street, which is a repeating pattern of swirling vortices. An example of this is when like suspended telephone or power lines vibrate to the point when they're singing. Have you seen that?
Okay.
This then would produce infrasound capable of inducing panic attacks in humans. Iker believes this caused the Dyatlov group to panic and caused so much mental distress that they had to leave the tent by any means necessary. Once they moved farther down the hill, they were able to compose themselves and try to return to the tent, but because it was dark in the middle of the night, they couldn't return, and the three with internal trauma stumbled over the edge of the ravine and landed on the rocks at the bottom.
No. I don't get it. Okay, so this is the theory that's formulating in my head. Okay, I think the fireballs freaked them out. I think the fireballs got close to them or something that was freaking them out. The fireballs are documented by other people in the area. So those happened. We know that. So I think something was wonky with the fireballs. They had to get out. Maybe a fireball came close to them or made strange sounds or something happened at that point that they were like, we got to get out of here. They fled. I think they all went into the ravine. And then one by one, they would try to go back to get something. And then that's when they were dying.
But why would the two go to the cedar tree and build a fire there?
I don't know. But I feel like they all fled to the ravine because that was their camp. Like they made a secondary camp there. So maybe the people that got crushed.
No, because they were wearing the clothing of the dead people that were trying to go back to the tent.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. They all go down there and then those people were the most injured. So they gave them their clothing when they were going back to the tent to get more supplies or something. And then they died along the way to the tent. So I think they all fled, made it to the ravine, gave their clothing to the people that were dying to help insulate them a little bit more.
But why were the cedar people in their underwear?
The cedar people, because they gave their clothing to the people and that were still in the tent and dying.
But why would they strip down to their underwear and come back to the cedar tree and make a fire?
I think they were on their way back to the tent and they stopped at the cedar tree to make a fire. Because I think maybe...
But this was negative 22 degrees. Why would they go strip down to them? If they knew they were... Because the den... Okay, so this den, I'm going to go into detail more about it. Basically, it was like, so they're good. They were good hikers and experienced that it kept them warm.
Yeah, so they made the den.
Right.
They all made it to the den. They built the den, and then the healthier people were going back to get more supplies.
But I'm saying when they just go, okay, stay here. They were fine probably in what they were wearing. We're going back out in the cold. They would probably be wearing their clothes.
Oh, so, okay. I see what you're saying. Because they're going back into the cold. They would need the clothes more than the people that were in the den.
Exactly. Because the den's going to keep them warm already.
Right. So I was thinking that the people that were crushed, they were trying to insulate them more.
Okay.
Because they were trying to keep them alive. So they put the clothes on the injured people and they were like, we're healthy and strong. We can make it back to the tent to get more stuff and put it on at the tent. They're like, we just have to hike however many
500 meters.
We just have to hike 500 meters back to the tent. We can do it in our underwear. I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. But this is the theory that I'm working on because this makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
But I don't know what killed them. Like, I feel like maybe one person took off and then, or a couple people took off and then they died. And then a couple more people went out to look for them. Maybe that's why they had the camp under the cedar tree because they were looking for everybody else that was closer to the tent. But every time they would try to get to the tent or closer to the tent, they would die. I don't know because the people in the ravine were the last to die. Am I touching on something? Because you're like smiling over there.
Well, there's some things I'm going to go into why it's so weird still that I'll double check.
I'm trying to form my theory.
It's good. Keep going.
Okay.
9, military testing. Another theory that ties in seeing falling objects in the sky is the Dyatlov campsite was right in the path of a Soviet parachute mine exercise. This theory believes the hikers heard explosions in the middle of the night, which caused them to panic and flee the tent. Those who were fatally injured was because of a falling mine. But there was no external injuries, right?
Right.
Apparently, there are records of the Soviet military testing out parachute mines near the area at the same time that they were camping. But we would have seen fatal external trauma if this was the case, like I just said.
Yeah,
also,
that makes no sense.
Yeah, they would have been blown up.
Yeah.
Also, we do not see any evidence on the ground of weaponry because they would have left
There
rubble.
would have been shrapnel and stuff everywhere. Yeah.
Another theory along these lines was that they were testing radiologic weapons due to the radioactivity on some of the clothing. But again,
it was all in one person's clothing.
Exactly. 10, animal attack. They wouldn't have abandoned the tent due to wildlife. That was the biggest thing. So I was like, no, they wouldn't have left the tent. Right. Remember Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Watch that stupid movie. They didn't want to leave the tent. Yeah. And there were 9 of them, so they would have been able to fend animals off. And there was no evidence that there was wildlife that ever visited the campsite. No scratch marks on anybody, nothing.
Right. The bare feet are not rar bear, but like
Not
naked
rar
feet.
bear. Yes, exactly. 11. Paradox undressing was mentioned. So this is what you were kind of touching about.
Yeah. When you get hypothermia, you take off all your clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they think they're hot and burning.
Right.
And that's why you found the deceased not wearing much. However, most of the group attempted survival, whether by making the fire or going to the den.
Right.
So they were still sound of mind.
Right.
Okay. To recap. So that was all I had for theories.
Okay.
But
that's a lot of theories.
I know. I'm going to recap a bunch of things, like questions that are still very mysterious and hard to answer this day. And then tell me your theory.
Okay.
Now, 1, the footsteps show the group not fleeing the tent in a hurry, but the footsteps showed them retreating and will look like a walking in a line. They were so quick to get out of the tent to cut the hole, but why not run? 2, why did they break cedar branches at a height of up to 5 meters when there were so many small trees around for a fire?
Oh, yep.
Those that made it to the ravine built the den and possibly could have survived the night. And they had all extra clothing, and some were even still hanging from the branches. So why weren't they wearing the extra clothes, and how did they perish? That's still the question. Zolotarev left the tent with barely anything to face the harsh environment, but he had the time to take his camera.
Oh, what?
Unfortunately, the film was damaged by the elements, but why take it? He was in the group that dug the den by the ravine to keep warm and seemed sound of mind. So if he had the time to flee the tent,
There's
grab his
something
camera,
out there. He's got it. He's there.
He also was found with a notepad and a pen in his hand, but nothing was written in the notepad.
Because somebody took whatever he wrote out of the notepad,
Could
maybe.
be. I don't know. I don't think so. They found it with, I think whoever found it first just was like, they all saw it and there was nothing on it. There was a strange unidentified cloth.
What?
It's called an obmatki and was found near the bodies. It's an old version of protection for feet worn by soldiers in the Red Army and is a long, narrow band that was wrapped around shoes to protect the feet of servicemen from natural elements. They stopped distributing these in the 1940s during World War II, but veterans kept it after their service. According to Yuri Yudin, the one that didn't make it with them, right?
Right.
He said no one in the group carried this kind of thing.
That's what I was going to, I'm like, well, obviously somebody brought it with them, or maybe somebody's mother packed it in their thing as a superstition.
But yeah, he says no one, but I don't know.
Yuri, come on.
Yeah, thanks. Supposedly, Kolevatov kept a personal diary because they all, most of them all did.
Yeah.
Yuri also testified that it was with him on the last trip, yet the diary went missing.
Wow. Okay.
One of the ski poles shows signs of damage made by a knife. Many theories and explanations have surfaced, but no one could give a proper answer or why the hiking group would damage such an important part of their equipment.
Interesting.
The cedar tree was still something they couldn't fully explain. One of the search team noted that the side of the tree facing the slope in the tent was completely cleared of branches. As I mentioned before, there were plenty of other low, young trees they could have used for firewood. But the branches they were taking were young and they weren't dry. The ones from the
they're
cedar
not going to burn.
And some weren't even used. They were scattered along the ground. The search team members stated it looked as if someone had created a viewing hide facing the site from where they came.
So, okay. Yeah, they went, but something happened at the tent. They're like, they're going back to look at what's going on.
The path the 4 that were found in the ravine took, or in fact, all of them really. Why did they choose this route instead of trekking back down to their provisions they left at the forest at the bottom of the mountain? I'm going to show you the map.
Right.
They went the opposite direction as if something was blocking that way.
Okay.
Last.
Uh-huh.
Autopsy on Dubinina found that there was a dark brown mucosal mass in her stomach. This indicated that her heart was beating and the blood was flowing when her tongue was removed from her mouth.
She was still alive when her tongue was taken from her. No, I don't like that, Nicole. I don't like that, Nicole.
So this is the large cedar tree I'm pointing out. Those are the bodies. This is the tree or the firing area.
There are so many trees around them.
Yeah, there's so many trees. They cut all the way up to 16 feet up.
Yeah.
Okay? This is that tree again. This is where it's facing. That's how far it went up.
Uh-huh.
Now, the map. See, so there's a tent.
Uh-huh.
This is the ravine. They went that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they came in.
Yeah.
So they all went the opposite direction from where they came in.
Yeah. And in the slope where the avalanche, where they came in, they would have just kept going down.
Yeah.
It's like they went perpendicular.
Yeah.
That's the right word.
Yep.
They went perpendicular to the mountain instead of going back down. Oh my gosh.
So that's what I've got for you for the Dyatlov Pass.
Okay.
What do you think?
So they saw a fireball, and they didn't know what it was. They needed to leave the tent because they didn't feel safe where they were at the tent.
But
so
why
they
cut it open from the inside if they saw a fireball?
If they cut it open from the inside, they didn't want whoever was in the fireball to see them leave, because the front of the tent is facing the fireball. So they had to cut out the side so that whoever was in the fireball didn't see them leave. So they left and went.
But why didn't they run away? They walked calmly away.
Because they wanted to be quiet and not seen.
Okay.
So they left calmly and quietly.
And they didn't take
probably
anything.
Tiptoed and didn't take anything. Or, I mean, some of them took some things.
One person took a camera. Some were dressed warmly.
Yeah, some were dressed warmly.
But they were doing that at night.
They found one set of shoe prints, but everybody
one
else.
shoe.
Just one shoe.
One shoe.
And then, okay, so they left as quietly and as calmly as they could to go hide. They found a place to hide, but I think that some stuff went down because they were spying on what was happening in the fireball. Whoever was in the fireball came back and attacked them, did some radioactive crazy stuff that crushed
But only
the
one
inside.
Person.
Crushed the inside of the person?
So the radioactive clothing.
Well, the radioactive clothing, was on
the person
one
in the cedar
person.
tree. That was the guy that was under the cedar tree with no clothes on.
Yeah.
So my thought was they came back and took his clothing, right?
Yeah, the people in the ravine
Yes.
came back and took his clothing.
Yeah, because he was already dead.
Okay.
So they took the clothing of all the dead people, the 5 people.
Well,
that were
okay.
dead.
So I think possibly yes, but okay. So I think that people were going out to either go back to the tent to get provisions or to spy on what was happening with the fireball.
Mm-hmm.
They stumbled across some crazy shit that was going down.
Right.
So they were trying to hide from it and go back and spy on it and see what was going on. And whatever was going on just picked them off and eventually found the den.
But the 3 people that were like Dyatlov and the other 2, they didn't have any injuries. So they were probably coming back. I believe they did die of hypothermia because there was nothing on them unless it was like a brain thing that alien got to them. But
yeah. But what about the guy with the gray ooze coming out of the cheek and the mouth? That they were in the den. That person was in the den.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
I think so. No?
Oh, no. You're confusing me.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah. Dorshenko. He's one of the 2 under the cedar tree. He's the one with the brown purple complexion and had gray foam coming from his right cheek and gray liquid was leaking from his mouth.
So one of the cedar tree guys.
Yes. And Krovoshenko.
And the other guy had the rigor mortis on his back or whatever.
And he
radioactive
was the one with
clothing.
radioactive clothing that they took.
Okay, so some crazy shit happened with those guys.
Yeah.
And then,
but that's all they found. They couldn't find any other injuries with those 2.
So then the people that were in the ravine, so I think everybody went to the ravine and then people were coming out of the ravine to spy on what was going on and they were getting picked off. But the ravine people kept coming back out and either taking their clothing or taking their supplies to keep spying on what was going on. And then things just kept escalating from there. That's what I think. I don't know who it was or what it was that was going on, if it was government testing and this is all, they're trying to cover it up or if it was actual UFO or whatever. But like, I think everybody made it to the ravine and they were going back to their tent.
Trying to get
their stuff or trying to spy on what was going on or because I mean they had one guy took a camera and he had a pad of paper and pencil and they built like a place to hide and watch what was going on underneath the cedar tree. So they were trying to figure out what was happening. Probably they were spying on what was going on. They built like another tent to survive in. Oh my gosh, this like. I'm so fired up right now. This is crazy.
It's a really crazy case. And again, they think they solved it, but when I first started this, right, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this because they just said they solved it. But then I started reading more and more of the evidence and things that happened, and I was like,
it's not solved.
Yo, this is weird.
There's like not even, it's a Band-Aid. That's not what happened.
Right. I mean, it could have been one of the things that made them leave the tent, but
the fireball triggered the avalanche.
Sure, some avalanche. Yeah, something happened, but like I don't know. There's just too many weird occurrences on this, and they were all good. Experienced hikers. This is the big part. Like they weren't just like me going up on a day camp. I would have died right away.
You would have died right away in avalanche.
But they knew what they were doing. They've had experience in a mountain that was that crazy with the turbulent weather. Like they know what they were getting themselves into. So what the heck happened?
And the tent was fine. It was just slashed from the inside.
Yeah, because that's how they were able to find their journals and everything.
All of their stuff was fine.
Yes.
In the tent.
Yes.
So it wasn't a chaotic flee.
No.
It wasn't a chaotic scene.
Nope.
It was an ordered scene,
they
orderly
cut the
escape,
tent open, walked away.
built a new shelter, built other fires. Something was going down and they were going back to spy on it.
Right. I don't know.
Who knows?
Tough.
This is a crazy story. I love it.
So this is why I picked it.
Thank you, Nicole. You just blew my mind wide open.
Right?
I'm like, what do I do with this information now? I'm going to be like researching this and trying to figure it out and come up with my own theory.
So there's a website. It's at dyatlovpass.com. You can even, like I said, look at photos of the dead bodies.
Oh no.
Like very detailed and look at all the evidence. There's so many theories. There's so many questions. I went through as many as I could, but it's a crazy, mysterious event that I don't think anyone's ever going to really completely solve until we all like pass away and ask that question when we die.
Yes. If you guys have your own theories about what happened on the Dyatlov Pass, please reach out to us at theominousstitch@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you just want to talk about anything else, if you have any other ghost stories or anything else that you just want to reach out and say, we really want to connect to you guys. So please reach out to us at our email or on any of our social, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the things. So reach out to us. We want to hear from you. We want to build our community. Yeah. If you would like to support our wonderful little podcast, you can please go to our Patron on Podbean. So you can find us at Podbean and look up TOS or the Ominous Stitch, and it will take you right to the Patron where you guys can donate any dollar amount that you want to. And we will give you shout outs. We will send you stuff. Reach out to us. We want to hear from you. And now it is time for movie time. Yes?
Yes, movie time.
Movie time.
This week's movie that we tried to kind of keep it on track with our theme of our story is called The Ritual.
The Ritual.
Yeah,
thanks,
you guys
Miles.
like that?
Miles likes it.
Yep. It was released in 2017. IMDb rating of 6.3 stars. And the synopsis: a group of old college friends reunite from a trip to a forest in Sweden, Northern Europe, but encounter a menacing presence. They're stalking them.
Ooh.
So, you know what?
Yeah.
This is probably one of my more favorite movies of
I like this movie too.
Yeah, horror in the woods.
Yeah, it got me. This movie, I saw it a long time ago and it has stayed with me. So when you were like, let's watch The Ritual, I was like, oh, I know that one. I know it. I've seen it. It's stayed with me. Like the hands on that's the thing that stayed with me the most. But
the creature, the Jotun.
Yes, the Jotun.
But yeah, so if you want to recap real quick, we just gave it away. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, so it's a bunch of group of college kids, and they in the trailer they didn't even touch up why it's just such a big trigger at the beginning. But like one of their friends passes away, and one of them basically could have saved him.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away. But then, but they were all at the beginning talking about a trip that they wanted to take. And they were like, let's go to there and let's go to Amsterdam. But the one that passes away wants to take a hiking trip to Sweden.
Yeah.
So 6 months later, they end up going out there.
They go on this hiking trip and they like memorialize their buddy there. Right. Because he died.
Which was a ritual.
It was a ritual.
So that's what
they
I thought was
performed a ritual.
funny.
So what happens is everything's going to plan until one of the guys like injures his ankle,
which they all predicted he wasn't going to be the greatest hiker.
Yeah. So he winds up injuring his ankle, and then they decide to take a shortcut to this lodge. And that's where everything goes wrong. They take a shortcut and then they wind up in the territory of what's it called again?
It's a Jotun.
A Jotun.
It's a god.
Yeah. And you did research on Jotun.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically it's the offspring of Loki. That's what they believe in Norse mythology. Oh. And they can be really pretty or they can be really creepy looking.
Yeah, this is really creepy looking, guys. Okay, so the creature is kind of like this weird elk-like kind of thing, but it has like a human
features. Like it looks like a human's hanging from his face.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's creepy.
I don't like the human hands.
And he stands
the
up
thing that,
too.
yes.
Like, oh.
And that's the thing. Like you see this elk-like thing come out of the forest at one point, and then it has these hands that come out and touch somebody, and that's the part that is ingrained in my brain, and it just stayed with me. But there's a lot of elements in this movie that are just really like supernatural, witchcrafty, and then you go into all these like weird dreams, and the way that it was shot was really cool.
Yeah, they did a good job.
The forest itself is crazy.
Oh, I would not want to be in that forest.
No, with like all of the branches are so sharp and spiky.
Yes.
Oh,
it's really creepy.
It's
like
really
obviously
creepy.
You shouldn't be going through this forest. And
obviously,
it's not a hiking trail.
Yeah, they just keep making bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah, and it is funny because they don't want to talk about anything like their feelings or what happened to them. They're very like, let's keep going until we get there, you know? And
yeah, very manly.
Yes,
like,
masculine.
Just shove it down, shove it way down.
Yeah, and the whole time that guy's guilty the whole time.
And that's what takes each one of them down eventually is their repressed feelings, their repressed emotions.
Exactly. Except the one, that's why he was chosen though.
Yeah.
He's so repressed and so guilt-ridden that they think he would be a good what's it called? Docile to worship.
Yeah,
the Jotun.
Yeah. Oh,
but they come across the people. Oh, that the village is creepy. Even like they could have made it really cheesy. Because I've seen those movies where it's like they come across these like podunk people and
yeah.
But they did a really good job with it. Like
it was so good.
It was
a good creepy movie.
Yes,
it's like it's
psychological.
It's psychological, and elements of it seemed like just very real and raw, and like it could be real life.
Right? It was so good. So I really liked this movie.
It was a good one.
Good job, Netflix, for picking this one.
So I don't agree with the 6.5? 6.3.
Yeah.
I would give it at least a 7.
I give it an 8.
You give it an 8. Whoa.
Yeah, because I would rewatch this.
Yeah.
That's that good. It was creepy. Some elements I was like, I need to close my eyes. I'm like, no, I have to watch this movie.
Yeah. And some of it you're like, I don't like where this rabbit hole is going.
Yes.
You don't like it.
Oh, you're talking about the hands, but the one scene he goes up into the where their kind of encampment is, and he goes upstairs, he's able to escape, and where they prepare them for the sacrifice, and there's all these people sitting, because again, spoiler alert, the Jotuns keeping the village there because in exchange they can live forever.
Right.
So you see these like bodies, but they don't look human. It's because they've been there for I don't know how long,
hundreds of years.
But then one starts to move, and that like freaked me out. So they did a really good job, I think. So I give it an 8.
Yeah. Oh, good. High praise for the ritual.
Yeah.
Well, this was a super quick movie review, but this is a nice long episode.
Yes.
So we've covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Oh,
but yeah, like Angela said, if you have any theories or what you believe in about the Dyatlov Pass, please let us know.
Yes, we want to know. We want to connect with you. And so until we talk to you guys next, and until we dive into another fun episode, we'll see you, Stitchers.
See you, Stitchers.